here in the studio. The show just ended. JP, Lurch, and EB here. Another great interview with Matt Williams, and he was not happy today.
A little contentious. They lost last night, 8-5. Blew it in the late innings. We questioned him about the bullpen, so you want to check it out on watchthejunkies.com. I thought Matt, made some points. His rationale, we brought up some different rationales, so check it all out on watchthejunkies.com. Welcome back. Junkies on 106.7 The Fan. It's Cakes, EB, Lurch, and JP. You can also follow us along in HD via watchthejunkies.com. Join us right on the Mitsubishi Electric Cooling Hotline. It is the manager of your Washington Nationals, Matt Williams. What's going on, Matt?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Hello, Matt.
Do you sleep on a night like last night? Like, what's it like when you blow one?
Not much.
Like you did?
Yeah. Not a lot. So.
Is it tough to be nice when you go home and you have to deal with, your loved ones?
Well, luckily he's on the
road.
road.
Even on the road and phone, but I mean, it's a long season, so it happens when you're at home too.
I'm sure he's ornery.
That's not acceptable.
Yeah.
The game's over, but not a whole lot of sleep.
All right, so let's get into what's happened the last couple of nights here. The Cardinals are the best team in baseball. They've got one of the best home records, maybe the best home record. You look at the remaining schedule, and you got to really go on like a 700 type winning percentage to get this thing done.
Right.
And then Casey Janssen does what he does a couple nights ago. But then last night, you got your setup guy in there, Drew Storen, who, as you've mentioned, he has struggled in that role over the last few weeks. But he's the guy. He blows it. And you got a tie game, and you decide to go with Casey Janssen instead of a guy like Papelbon. So take me through the thought process. And we've asked you this before, but a lot of the fans want to know. Take me through the thought process of going to Janssen instead of someone else there.
Okay, so we've used everybody just about to get to the eighth inning.
Right.
We've got it set up for the eighth and the ninth. The eighth doesn't go our way, and the score is tied. So everybody wants to know why you don't use Papelbon in that situation. So let's say, for instance, Pap throws a clean ninth, and we score in the 10th. Who's closing the game for us?
I guess it has to be Janssen.
It would probably have to be Janssen.
I guess it'd be somebody, right?
Well, could you keep Paps out there for another inning?
All these people want to know why Papelbon isn't in the game because we lost.
Mm-hmm.
He's our closer. He's the one that closes the game. Now, when you're at home, it's a different story. It's a different story because you always have the hammer at home. You always have the last at bat at home. But on the road, it's a different story. So, 99 times out of 100, every single manager is not going to use their closer on the road in a tie game because they need somebody to close that game.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with you there.
So,
but knowing how Janssen struggled the night before, doesn't it give you a little bit more confidence to go with a different guy, not put him in that same situation? And couldn't Janssen close a game if Papelbon kept it clean and tied going into the 10th?
He could. Sammy Solis could as well.
Uh-huh.
But Sammy's our long guy. So what we tried to do last night is stay off Casey because he had such a heavy workload the night before.
Yeah.
Now, again, it gets down to the result of the game, and the result of the game was a 3-run homer. But Case also worked through the first 2 outs of that game and had the previous hitter 2 strikes and just couldn't put him away.
Mm-hmm.
So, you look at the result, and the result says, "Oh, you should do something different." But no, you don't use your closer in that regard because he needs to close that game out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because we have people in here that know baseball far better than I do, and they had that exact same question, the same conversation that you and Jason just went through. And I was thinking to myself, well, back in the heyday, like how often did Rivera do that? Did they bring Rivera in the same situation in the 7th inning? People are. I'm defending him, Matt, because I like you, and so I get pissed off, and I'm biased. I'm not objective. But so I'm looking back on history. How often has that happened?
It doesn't happen very often.
Right.
I mean, if you've got, again, we can look back to the World Series last year and Bumgarner coming in to save the game. but that's the last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's a starter. So, you know, listen, we had the lead in the 8th inning, and fought hard to get there, and it just didn't happen.
Right.
So, you know, we got to move on. We move on to today.
So
What
is
about-
your,
what about-
let me ask real quick. So does that mean basically your moves are predetermined before the game in terms of you're on the road and it's tied in the 9th inning, that you will always do what you did?
They're not predetermined. They're not predetermined as to who.
Mm-hmm.
No. Depends. It depends on how the game goes. So we used everybody in the bullpen to get to the 8th inning, and unfortunately that was the case last night because we had guys all over the base paths. We had them threatening. We had to make moves, but like trying it in with bases loaded and one out. You know, it is what the game is. We're trying to win that game.
Right.
And we had it set up the way we wanted it set up going into the 8th. It didn't work.
Yeah.
What about
Offense came up good for us. We scored some runs, and it was fine.
What
Until
about
then.
what about the game before, Matt? I'm just asking you this because people are asking us, right? And they're saying when Jansen struggled, 2 nights ago, instead of bringing Rivero in, who I actually like, I think Rivero's been awesome for the most part this year. What about like bringing in a guy, an out earlier? So bringing in a Storin, maybe you're going to just have Storin get 4 outs instead of 3, or you're going to have Pap come in and get 4 outs instead of 3. Why don't we ever do that?
Tell me the situation. Which situation are you talking
2
about?
games ago, right? Remember when Jansen was struggling and
Mhm.
got the base? I don't know if the bases were loaded at that point, or maybe just a guy on third, and then there was another. I can't remember all the situations. And then there were,
All right, so
and then Rivero comes in to get the last out and kind of struggles, but he.
yeah, he came in. Yeah, why not bringing him in a guy earlier? So Rivero came in to get the last out and didn't get it.
Right.
Facing the lefty.
Right.
Casey got the double play ball. He's got a guy on third base, walks a guy, right?
Right.
Right.
So we bring Rivero.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. He just got a double play ball.
Are we
And
talking?
then Rivero brings
2
in.
nights ago.
Rivero comes in and gives up the double to Hayward, correct?
Right.
And then giving up another base hit to a lefty. It's the matchup we want.
Right.
You just said it yourself. Rivero's been great.
I think so. Yeah, I agree. I'm just asking.
Yeah, so he faced the 2 lefties and it didn't get it done. I mean, is that an indictment on Felipe? No. It just didn't happen.
Right.
Now, last night, Ross struggled. He had pitched well the start before, but he struggled last night with the 6 walks.
Yeah.
And then you brought in Pfister, and Pfister pitched for a couple innings.
It was good.
And he was good. And then you'd pinch hit for Pfister with Ugla, I think, I want to say that was maybe the 6th? Fifth, okay.
Fifth.
What's the thought process in pinch hitting him there with 2 outs at 4-3 instead of just letting Pfister go maybe another inning and saving that bullpen for maybe another inning or 2?
Well, you don't know where you're going to get in that game.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea. We're at 4-3. We've got Doug gave us what he could give us. His spot comes up in the lineup. We pinch hit Uggs and go on to the rest of the bullpen.
Okay.
You don't know that you're going to get. You don't know that you're going to get in a situation that you're going to get to. So, thought process there is, we get to have the lead. We want to increase the lead. Pinch hit for Doug. We set the game up and get ourselves to the 8th inning. I mean, which actually happened. And then from then on, it didn't happen for us, but that's what we're looking at. Sure.
I went into
anybody in their right mind would look at it that way.
Yeah, I went into this series, Matt, saying, okay, well, I'm looking at the Mets' schedule. All right, they've played so well, especially with the additions that they've made offensively. Their pitchers, they're not shutting those guys down. They've been fine. So I'm looking at it almost like a desperate situation from the Nats' perspective. Now, I didn't expect you guys to go into St. Louis and sweep them. They're just too good. I think even if you take 1 of 3, you're okay as long as you're kind of staying within striking distance of the Mets before you play them. But now that you've lost those 2 games the way you did, do you become a little bit more desperate going forward and maybe change your thought process and how you're using the pen, or no?
So what is I don't know what your question is to me. if your question is to me that you think I'm using it wrong, tell me how.
No.
If
I'm not
that's the
questioning you
case,
that.
so then what we do is we use our pen the way we need to use our pen.
Mm-hmm.
Last night it was heavy.
Right.
Because we had to get through innings to get ourselves to a point where we could have Drew and potentially Pap in the game.
I'm not questioning. I'm not questioning.
The eighth.
No, I'm not questioning the way you're using your pen. Okay, I would do this exact same thing you did. I'm asking you, just as a manager, do you say, okay, well, this hasn't worked in the last few spots. Maybe I go with a different guy here and see what happens. That's what I'm asking you.
A different guy for
just like not using Jansen there and using Papelbon
in the ninth inning in the tie game.
Correct.
No.
Okay.
We have to have somebody. If we score a run, we have to have somebody to close the game.
But why wouldn't you consider
Somebody
using him 2 innings?
So why couldn't Jansen close it?
We can use him 2 innings. We certainly can. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at the game. I mean, if you guys want to talk intricacies of the game, then let's look at the intricacies.
Yeah.
Where are we at in the order?
Heart of the order, right?
I think heart of the order, yeah.
No.
When
Desi
Jansen
just made the last out. Desi just made the last out.
Your order.
7, 8, 9 in the order.
Oh, your order. Okay, I'm sorry.
So that being said, we're going to use Pap. We're going to bring Pap in. Unless we double switch for Desi in that situation, we can't use Pap 2 innings. We need a 1-inning guy there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, listen, it all depends on the game. It all depends on what's happening during the course of the game. And frankly, to get into a conversation like this, in my opinion, is irrelevant. We need a guy to close the game out, which is our closer, which is who's perfect this year in saving games. We've used everybody else in the bullpen. We have one guy left, and that's Sammy Solis. And Casey Jansen had 2 outs and left a pitch out.
Right.
Drew Storen came in and gave up a base hit. He hit a guy with a slider. We made an error on a bunt play, and there's your 2 runs.
Right. What's the discussion like in the locker room, the clubhouse, to guys like Storen and Jansen after that? Do you leave them alone, or do you kind of go up and say, hey, you know what? Stuff happens, but you got to be better next time?
Yeah, they know. They know they want to be better next time. There's no need for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there to support these guys. So there's a pat on the back and saying, all right, we'll get them tomorrow. That's what it is. There's no saying, hey, you need to be better. They get that. They understand that.
Yeah, they do. Is desperate the wrong word right now for the Nats?
Yeah, wrong. Yeah, desperate. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the right word?
That's the wrong word. If I look at this team right now, with the exception of the last 2 days, our offense is rolling. Guys are feeling good at the plate. They're swinging the bat well. Last couple of starts, Joe last night couldn't feel a baseball. Ball was coming out of his hand, squirting out of his hand. Didn't have a good outing for him. He'll be ready for his next one. That's what I know. So we've got Max Scherzer going tonight against a rookie left-hander, and we feel confident about that.
Matt, can I ask you this? Some people were asking last night, I guess, so the roster's expanded to 40, right? I don't even know what your number is, but only a few moves were made. Like Ugala was activated, and like 1 or 2 other moves.
Severino.
Yeah,
right,
Severino.
right. So some people are saying, why didn't they give you more help, in the bullpen? Are there any other pitchers that could be called up to give you some more choices?
Well, Sammy Solis was called up.
Right.
Again, we have to understand where we're at. Tanner Rourke will be back.
Right.
Because he was sent down, there's a certain time period that he has to be in the minor leagues.
Right.
10 days.
So he's not eligible to come back on the 4th.
Right.
A.J. Cole will be here at some point, but he just started. He just made a start.
Right.
So he's not really ready to throw anyway. So then in the coming days, he is planned on being here too. So it's a question of where we're at too.
Gotcha.
And who's pitching where.
Are you saying so? Then you're not of the opinion, because some people are starting to say, well, Ross is obviously he's exhausted now. He's pitched 140 innings, whatever it is. This is more than he's ever pitched.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the reason for last night. You're kind of rejecting that.
No, I'm not saying I'm rejecting that. No, that's not accurate.
Okay.
What's accurate is he had a bad night last night.
Right.
So again, you have to experience the conditions at the ballpark too.
Okay.
Very, very humid, really warm, and as evidenced by his pitching last night, one, he couldn't find the strike zone, but two, he was really struggling with the feel of the baseball.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make a rush judgment in that regard and say, well, no, he's done,
Matt,
because he may not be.
Matt, this is, I apologize, but this is the way discussions go when we have to interview after losses. I mean, you understand that.
Yeah, of course, but I've got to let you guys know the truth too.
Oh yeah, I want to hear it.
Well, we want
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like it.
Yeah.
Matt, it's time for the
I could sit here and say, yeah, that's how we do it. Yeah, this is it. But I'm just giving you the intricacies of the game and the truth.
No, we appreciate that.
I prefer that to just BS.
Yeah.
Way prefer that.
It's time for the Burke and Herbert Bank fan question of the week. What's the biggest reason for Max's rough August, where he posted a 6.43 ERA?
I think it's location. He's just missed location a few times, and he's had to pay for it a couple of times with homers. So balls up in the strike zone in the middle of the plate are easier for guys to hit, and he just hasn't been as sharp as he was early on with his command. So he works hard in between starts, and he is ready for this one tonight, and hopefully it's back to where he wants it to be.
All right, Matt.
great.
All right,
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
All right, you got it.
All right. Okay. All right. That's
Manager
Matt Williams.
What time do they play? They play a day game or a night
Look
game
at
tonight?
Scad here.
It's 7 o'clock game. Or no, that's 8:15 tonight, and
Yeah,
then
all right.
7 o'clock tomorrow, and then their next day game's Monday.
Okay, so
Labor Day.
yeah, Labor Day. So they do play. They play tonight, and then they come back and play the Braves over the weekend.
He's generally not going to veer from
Well, there you go.
what he believes in.
Yeah.
No.
People have asked
He
us.
has the philosophy.
Yep.
People don't like it.
ask us. They text us. They tweet us. They say, "All right, ask Matt why doesn't he bring in Papelbon?" Well, we've asked him now on 2 different occasions after blown losses or blown saves from Jansen, and he's given you the reasons.
Didn't want to do a double
and I
switch.
think what he's referring to is being results oriented, and I think that he is right to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
We're being results oriented. It's like if you get all your money in good, right? Case, you got the odds with you. I got my lefty matchup.
Right.
Rivero's been great all
It just
year.
didn't work
lefty,
out.
lefty didn't work out.
Yep.
And now we're killing him. You
Yeah,
got
but-
your money in good.
I mean, the only problem I have with that, and it's tough to get into a heated debate with him, but I just don't know if I go to Jansen the night after he blew a game on the road.
Phone number's 800-636-1067 if you want to chime in on that.